So, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Vision for Us podcast. I'm your host, Terrence, and I'm here with my lovely wife,
Angelica.
co-host.
Did I cut you off?
Yeah, you did.
We're still trying to work this all out.
Oh, but who are you?
I'm Angelica.
And we're the Praetors.
Praetors.
So, today,
How you feeling, sir?
I'm a little tired.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
A little tired.
a little tired,
Yeah, I be hearing us say we tired a lot. But we are joyful to be here.
Yes.
We love doing this. This is fun.
This is fun. It's taken a long time to get to this place, to put this together.
Yes, it has. And you'll probably hear about that for a while because he's still in his feelings about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to this conversation, I guess. I mean, we have really good conversation. I hope you guys are enjoying it because we are enjoying making it. So we hope you guys are enjoying it.
And it's very unscripted. So
yes, he loves the unscripted.
I do.
So I hope you guys are enjoying those who are finding us that you just, because we're not editing anything. That makes me uncomfortable.
That does, because she's coming from a standpoint of editing. I did all the editing for her and all that stuff. And I didn't want this, the vision that I have for this podcast to be so well polished and well put together. I think too many people, instead of just putting out information or just doing them, they worried about the aesthetics, which the aesthetics are still good. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But as far as, I want to keep the bloopers in there. I want to have real conversation as if the camera was not in front of us.
Yeah. And I'm cool with it.
That is unedited, and keep the bloopers and everything else. And if we go off topic, we go off topic.
Yeah. Well, I'm cool with it. It took me some time, y'all. Well, if you listen to any of our past episodes, I was not comfortable on camera.
You weren't?
I wasn't comfortable on
when
camera.
we first started?
No, not with this podcast.
No, when you first started.
When I first started doing anything on video, it was very uncomfortable. That was really hard for me. And I think it's hard for a lot of people because when you're doing like business or anything like that, some type of presentation, but when you put the world,
I think it's hard because you're doing it by yourself. I think it comes easier. Exactly.
Facts. It's easier because you have somebody to lean on. You have, and then when it's like things that you're passionate about or you're talking about or you're going through, you're not positioning yourself as this go-to expert, even though I am expert at certain things. So are you.
I'm not an expert at certain things.
I think that you can master certain things.
You can master certain things, but I think
you don't like the word expert.
No, not after a certain. I think to be considered an expert, I think you're an expert in doing hair.
Yeah, because I've been doing it. I have more reps.
You have more reps. You've been doing it for over 20 years.
Yeah, like it doesn't. There's no nervousness that comes.
But as far as you have too many people coming out as experts and gurus, or married couples that have only been married for like 3 or 4 years and talking about their experts in relationship. It's like,
I don't think you would ever be an expert at relationship.
No, or expert in parenting when you only been parenting for 3 years. It's
we
like,
haven't hit no crows.
Yeah, so no, we're not experts.
No, we're definitely not experts.
Not coming to you from that aspect. We're just having candid conversations. We pick a topic, we get 5 key points or try to hit 5 key points doing that particular topic, and then if we go off topic, we go off topic.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but it is much easier. So what are we talking about today, sir?
Today, which brings us to today's topic. Today we are talking about when one partner wants to start a business and the other isn't sure what to do.
Ooh. Well, I could tell you all that because I am the person that didn't want to start. It wasn't that I didn't want to start the business. I was the person that was more reserved with starting something with you.
And why is that? What is the reasoning behind that?
Well, first I was already in a business model that was working.
Which go ahead.
So it was I. Then second thing is I did not see entrepreneurial in you. I seen dreamer, but I didn't see entrepreneurial. And I wanted to see some concrete something.
Okay.
So that was that. Financially, the way you spent, I'm like, how would we even do this? I didn't have the skill set or the communication skills to really have that dialogue. Even though we started as friends, when you start having real serious conversation that can affect how your marriage is, I didn't have the skill sets to even have those conversations, like real, like, this is what I'm thinking.
Okay, scratch the business side. What was the hesitation behind starting the podcast? When I first brought it to you, we should start a podcast together.
I didn't want people in my business.
I didn't want people in my business.
I didn't want anybody in my business. I was very private, but private, but not private. Meaning my clients
You're
knew
either private or you're not.
Meaning I was very selective of what people knew about me, and you still could be very selective. I don't know. There was just a mental block that us speaking or putting ourselves out there. And then at that time, when you had asked me about starting a podcast, I wasn't even podcasting. I wasn't doing anything online. So
That's
I'm
not
like,
the point.
I know it's not the point, but I just was very leery about it. And I guess I was still, it's one thing when you listen to other people, right? You're listening to these podcasts. I was a big podcaster listener. So I love listening to them, like radio. I grew up in New York. We listened to talk radio. That was That was like really my thing. I enjoyed that more. I wasn't a big TV watcher anyway. So, but I think I didn't see myself as a person that could be on the air and talking, or just talking to people random, right? You just don't put that. That was not in my pathway or in my mindset or anything like that. I was definitely didn't see myself. And I'm like, why would we do that? Like, who the heck are we to be doing that? So I think that was.
But see, that's the problem. Who the heck are we to
who are we not? Now, I don't think that way now.
Right. But that's the problem. And I think that's a lot of problem with a lot of people or couples. Couples, because they don't feel as though, I guess, been through enough, per se.
Yeah.
But if you're already if you and your spouse are already having a conversation, what's the difference between having that conversation in front of a camera or behind a camera? There's no difference.
There is no difference. And I can only speak from what I felt.
Okay.
At the time, we were so newly married. We were figuring it all out. We had 2 babies.
Which would have been a great
time, right?
Would have been a great
absolutely
podcast.
I see the hindsight of it. I see the benefits of what it could have been. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But now we're here.
Right. We're here.
And I'm very, I'm okay with, I think if you're being honest with yourself, we have all put up a facade. And I think for me, there was a little bit of a facade for a little bit of that. It's like, let me protect my little bubble. Let me stay here. But I think also I wasn't looking at myself as someone who wanted to speak into other people's lives unless they were directly in front of me.
Okay.
So I would definitely say that was probably my hesitant with us starting the podcast. However, people would always call me for for my perspective on their situation. That is a definite thing. I play that role in quite a few people's lives. I didn't see it that way because I'm like, oh, we have relationships, so that's it. When I ran the brick and mortar business, when we were doing it together, my clients would always call me and say, do you know this person? They trusted the relationships that I had built with other people to be like the point of contact.
Okay.
So I do that very well of connecting, but I was like, oh, us? Why? Like, what's the whole point? But
because you didn't look at us as
I guess I just
couple.
I just didn't look at it from that perspective. And you had a vision that I just didn't have, and I had to eventually come into your vision.
Okay. All right. So again, this is about when one partner wants to start a business and the other isn't sure what to do. So here's the first, I guess, key point. Discover the root of hesitation. It's not always about the business.
No.
So often the hesitant partner's concerns are rooted in deeper fears, such as financial instability, lack of confidence in the idea, or fear of losing quality time as a couple.
Yeah, I would say all three could definitely fit for me, because I'm going to speak because I was that partner that didn't want to really start anything. I wanted to keep the relationship. I wanted to keep um, I just wanted to keep it separate. But I believe that God gives us a calling for certain things. Like when we started serving in the church together, that was like our first thing doing together.
Right.
And I started to see how like working together is much easier. I can definitely say trusting. When you get married, you'll say you trust the person, but trust grows. And I think that, and I've heard this several times from so many different women, that we were single, then we got together with a spouse. It's really trusting that person when it comes to everything, literally your health, everything. You realize that you don't trust certain areas of life, certain parts of your heart or certain parts of your life is like off key. Right? It's like you don't have access. Like I gave you a little bit of access to the business, but that was like I would say, this is my business. You haven't done entrepreneurship and forever, like you're new to this game. But he bought skill sets that I did not possess. And so I realized that once we kind of started getting in that synergy, I'm like, okay, cool. Right. But it's still like I had to grow into that, trusting you with the very thing that I had already built. Right. And that was an easy one. And then, we went through like financial curves and stuff like that. So I think it's just a combination of it all. But I'll tell you, when we started like watching other podcasters before we started this, and like they were all couples, like we started watching a few things that were couples, and he was like, see, that could be us. See, people already calling you on the phone, giving this advice, giving them a different perspective. I've never seen for myself any type of marital advisor. And please don't see us as marital advisors. We are literally just having conversation and bringing conversations to you. We are.
Well, why not? Why not? I know that's going a little bit off topic, but why did you put that little caveat in there?
Because
to not see us as a couple that gives marital advice.
We still figuring it out.
Isn't everyone else?
You're right. You're absolutely
people who
right.
have been married 20, 30 years, they're still figuring it out.
Yeah. Because each
season and each stage changes.
Yes.
So I would beg to differ.
But I will tell you, right, in my prayer time, right? In my prayer time, I was praying a couple of days ago. And I've been very distracted in my prayers lately. I was like, my brain be all over the place. I'm like, God, I need to get focused. But I was like, I've never seen this for myself in working with not working with a spouse. That's not the case. I've never seen anything in like using my marriage as a tool or a vehicle or anything like that. But then in my prayer time, it's like, today's world is fighting so much to be heard, but marriages are getting lost in it.
Duh.
And the covenant, yeah.
Duh.
Traditional marriage is
No, not traditional.
Marriage and wife.
How God intended marriage to be between man and wife is getting lost in today's world.
Absolutely. And so remember, I was always saying I always put a label on stuff, and I have to put a label. And it's like, no, when I was reading the Bible, I'm almost done reading the Bible. Choo, choo, choo. Can't wait. I gave myself a goal to read it through, but to read it for the whole year. But when I was reading, right, after my prayer time and stuff like that, it's like God gave us a covenant.
Right.
And this is the very thing that's being attacked. So you're just fighting your piece on the internet. What you and Terrence are doing is just giving language and being another voice for the space of what the covenant, this thing needs. Like, God wants more healthy marriages. God wants unity. And it's like, don't give it a title. Don't put advisory. Don't put anything on it. Just do what God is calling you guys to do in this season. And now that gave me freedom.
Okay.
Which is why I can show up. And I'm getting more excited about doing it all the time. Because I understand the weight of why God may have given it to you and then give it to me, because I was still stuck in titles and still wrapped up in it has to be polished in a certain way.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what happened.
All right. How can couples that unpack, how do you think couples can unpack the fear when the hesitant partner is encouraged to express their concerns without judgment?
Oof.
While the other spouse is listening actively.
Well, first, I think you can't take their fears and take it personal.
That is true.
I think that when you take it personal and you have to allow them a safe place to share their fears, and their fears or their concerns, mainly not just fears, but their concerns will sometimes be a mirror of how they have viewed you.
Okay.
And will sometimes make the other party feel maybe attacked because they're saying, well, you're not really good at this and you're not really good at that. I think it would be very helpful that the person that is
fearful,
the person that's hearing the fears or hearing the concerns, this is where your spiritual rootness or grounded in the vision that God has given you, you have to speak life into that fear.
Okay.
Because I think for what took us a little longer, if you would have said, I might not have all the answers, but I know this is something that God put inside of, we can do this, and just kind of allow me to navigate, which you have allowed me to navigate because it took me a long time to get here. But I think when the person is speaking those concerns, that it's not an attack on you, it's an attack on how they're viewing the process of becoming this thing.
Okay.
And sometimes when people are sharing their concerns, it can sometimes feel like they're an attack.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be my advice. I think I see something on the counter. I don't know. It might be just me. I'm like a little squirrel moment. Do you see that? Okay. It's just me.
So just giving them time to, one, to give them safe space to be able to come to you and
to communicate it.
But two, also the listening without, just because someone has a fear or a concern or fears and concerns, doesn't necessarily mean the other partner or the other spouse has to try to
fix it. Yeah.
So I would say listen and let them know that you understand their concerns and fears, and then let them try to and say, okay, well, we don't have to do it right now, but this is what I see. I don't have all the answers. Especially if you pose questions and I don't have all the answers, I just be honest and upfront. I don't have all those answers. And if you need those answers, I can't really give you those answers. But what I do see is this is what we have. This is the vision I have for our family.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, when you became more clear in the vision, I can marry it because I can go into my imagination to see it.
Okay.
When you were just throwing out ideas, I'm like, I don't sit with those.
Right.
This is the one thing that we sat in that feels like a good synergy. Where before they just sound like a pop of an idea.
Okay. I can receive that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were still in the figuring out stages. So that didn't make me feel at peace of what we were trying. I felt like we were trying on different shoes and seeing if they can fit.
Okay.
And if they fit, then we would stick with it. And if you didn't stick, then it was like, oh, let's go buy another pair of shoes. So that's how it felt at the time, which is why I couldn't get it. This is the first time that you literally sat down and was like, okay, this is what we're going to build. This is how we can build it. You kind of gave me strategy. You didn't give me the end. You gave me the strategy. Okay. Because I operate more in strategy than I operate more in the dreaming per se.
The vision.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You had a map out of how to do it, which gave me more trust and made me have less fear of it. And even up to the point, y'all, before we even started the podcast, I was about to pivot again. Like I was coming up with a whole new game plan. So, which he had to be patient. So I do have to ask you, for the person who has the vision, that's like more the one in the jumper, how was it processing the person with like me who had the fear of wanting to start? How were you processing that?
How was I processing that? It was just more so I guess more as being more mature and having an understanding and coming from a place of not trying to persuade you. I think when you come from a place of understanding and you try to understand your spouse's concerns and fears, then, and not try to persuade them, because if you try to persuade them, they're not going to want to do it. They're not going to want to stick through it. Let them walk through the fears and concerns for themselves. And I would say me, bringing it up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Not on a consistent everyday basis.
No.
And not making you feel as though, how can I say, making you feel like I'm resentful.
No, you're very patient with me.
So if you come from a place, I think if you come from a place of not persuading and then coming from a place of understanding, then you can help that spouse who's in fear or in concern of starting a business with together. Let them work that out themselves, because this wouldn't be able to happen if I was being persuasive or trying to push it upon you.
Yeah, I was listening to something and they said you can have a whole baby, buy a house, get a car, do all the things with your spouse. But when it comes to taking a real leap of faith, like where you're like, you don't know what's on the other side, then you say, I don't trust that person.
Right.
And it's like, you can give life to a whole human being and raise this human being with this person, but you won't trust them in certain areas. And that really was a conviction for me, because I'm like, what is it? Like, why won't I just willing to pull? So it was an internal battle for myself, because I'm like, and you want to protect the thing that God has given you. So I was like, God, are you trying to use us in this space? I don't want to be using this space. So it was a little bit of a battle, to be honest. It's like, don't use us on this one. Use us in other areas, right? So that was a battle. But I would definitely say you were very patient with me while we were working this out. So that made it very easy for me to just finally get to the yes. But once I said yes, y'all, I was trying to backpedal.
She was trying to backpedal into something else. I'm like, what?
Like, God was showing me that door is closed.
That door is closed.
Yeah.
Like, have you, with you opening that door, has anything came out of that?
No. And I think that because I am now at a place where I have a better understanding of like what a closed door, it's not that I can't use that particular gift. It's like, you prayed for something, God answered, and you're trying to go back in your rear view mirror, and I'm taking you somewhere forward.
Right.
And you just don't know what that land looks like. You don't know what that promise looks like, but you're not even willing to do it. And so there's a constant, at that time, there was a constant of letting go. And my prayer in that season for those who are on the person who has the fear is ask God to show you where you're not trusting not only your spouse, but you're not even trusting God. And that was big for me, because I realized I was not trusting in God, what he had given you.
That's good.
So
that's good. That's really good. I tell you, for me, although we've been talking about starting a podcast. I've been coming to you about starting a podcast years ago together, but didn't really have a clear vision on what that podcast would be until I've kept getting doors closed in my face and searching, more so I call it begging and looking for jobs and searching for jobs, and every door have been closed. And it's like, okay, do I keep trying to beg people for something, or do I push our own thing, create our own door to walk through and create our own legacy and build our own lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would definitely say that.
And reading a book helped me get more clarity on what
we were building. Yeah.
Right.
So definitely that made a world of a difference, because you've given it more language. And I think sometimes when you don't have language, it's very hard to marry something. It's like, well, what is it? Like, what is it? I mean, it can't just be a podcast. It has to go beyond that.
It has to go beyond that. It has to be some type of...
Yeah, now that I understand what it is. And then here's the thing. God will give you a piece of the puzzle, but he's not going to give you the whole thing, because he wants you to not steal his glory.
Right.
And so when you're trying to steal his shine, it's like, no, I can't give credit. I can't say I made this up in my mind. he gave it to him, and I had to submit to this
I don't
vision.
know where this, even the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it came from.
Yeah,
It's just like, okay.
So yeah, that's really good.
All right. Number 2, draft a shared vision. The non-business partner's role matters too.
That's really good.
Yeah. So,
Kind of piggybacks off of what we were just saying.
Discuss how hesitant the partner can still feel part of the journey without being involved in the day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
So how?
Well, I am not involved in the day-to-day operations really at all when it comes to my operations is really more with the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both do it, but
right.
my main focus in this season is really the kids. Where the setting up and like anything branding, marketing, any of those things, I'm not really. I'll just create some content that supports this. And then that's really it. As far as the hesitation, I'm not at that place anymore, but I can speak about like my hesitation really stopped once we press record.
Okay.
And it really stopped when I was in that place of hesitation. It was just about, it was like an internal battle of like making sense of what you're about to do, because none of this makes sense to the human mind, to my human mind.
Okay.
And so whatever that business that you guys are starting, right? If there is the person that is hesitant and your relationship is very important, the one thing is like a prayer point for yourself is like, let me not curse the very thing that that you're making us walk through, because it's going to teach you something either about yourself or it's going to teach you something about your marriage, about your parenting. It was working on me. It was a lot of things that was being highlighted was how I was so afraid to trust in a vision that was not given to me. How I didn't really trust you fully, how I didn't really trust God fully, how I did not show up as my authentic self, how I wanted to keep certain things offline and be this polished kind of person, which I'm still like, I am still Angelica. Like I still do all of those different things, but how I wanted to compartmentalize, and God's like, I'm stripping you of all of the things that makes you comfortable.
Right.
And I think while you're battling that hesitation and you're walking it out, the other party, what I can see is what I seen Terrence do. He kept moving forward, even though I would be saying something that's like, well, maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should do this. And it's just like all of the different things. And he's like, there you go again. But he stood ground. And I think it's important for the other person to stand their ground, not in a forceful way. You weren't forceful about it, but you're like, what else you got? What door is opening? What else you got? Right.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, you either going to try this, reluctantly is screaming, or you're going to, we'll just keep hitting the same brick wall.
Right.
And so that's,
and God honors unity.
He does. That's everything he's about. That's it.
So
covenant, unity. Like as I'm reading the Bible for myself and not being Bible illiterate, I'm like, this is a whole big love story. All he wanted is for you to choose him. That's it. Like there's nothing else. He just wanted you to choose him, but you're not doing it perfect. Like so many people were not great, but he chose them. And I'm like, okay, if you're choosing me, then this is the thing. But I do have to say this. Be very careful when you're in your season of hesitation, because you'll talk to people that want you to stay in the old version of who you were.
Yeah,
they only know you for that particular version, and they'll speak to it, and then you'll start to believe it, and it'll go contrary to the very thing that God gave you guys together, and that will cause breaches. So I know for me that caused a breach for me.
How do you feel about when couples have when they're trying to share their vision? How can they share their vision together? Like, what can they do together to
something practical?
Like something practical. Yeah, something practical. Like maybe they can do a shared vision board, a board with their shared, not only the shared goals, but their both the business goals and the personal goals.
Yes.
What is something else?
I think that's a fun activity. I think that couples don't do a lot of activities together.
Besides
their do.
Okay.
But and that's a very intimate, but I think you have to be intentional with the vision planning. we've never done a vision board. You've done a vision board by yourself, and I've done a vision board by myself. But this is the first time that we are actually going to be doing it together.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a world of a difference. I think that the world celebrates, there's independent, you do your thing, I do my thing, but we don't celebrate a lot of the unity.
Right.
And so I had to stop telling myself that what you're building is like, this is my thing, this is your thing. No, this is our thing. He had the our language down packed, and I didn't have it packed. I even still sometimes do it. I've been saying I for so long by myself. Yeah. I've been married for not that long that I had to do an I. I lost my parents really young, so I developed this take care of me attitude, where now I have somebody to take care of me in so many different ways. I don't have to think and decide and choose everything for myself. But going back to what I was saying, I think a practical thing is not just doing the vision board, but we used to do this thing called live vision board, where we would go to houses and dream together.
That's a good one too.
That's a really fun activity that gets you out of your comfort zone. That gets it from a piece of paper to seeing it in real life. And I did that while I was a single woman. So when we got together after church, we were like, what house? Who's having an open house? Let's go to the open house and go in different communities, look at the communities. I think that is a fun activity to do. Go by, dream a little bit, go to restaurants that are out of your price range, get all dressed up and just feel what it feels like if that's your desire to build wealth, or if it's your desire to give back to nonprofits or whatever it is that you guys want to do. Go and just do it. Go try it out and see if you like it. I heard this one person speak. They thought they wanted a certain car. They went and sat in it. It was like, oh, this is whack. I'm not feeling anything. Yeah. So it's like, why am I saving for it? So took it off as a vision board and then put something else on there. Yeah. So I think that's a practical tip.
Okay.
Which is really fun.
All right. 3, create a low stakes trial period for the business. Offer the idea of starting the business on a part-time or limited basis.
That's a good idea.
Setting a trial period with clear benchmarks for success.
I think that's really good because that mitigates the risk of we all in, balls to the wall. Right. We're all in.
We're all in
because every door has closed. So this is our only door. And I think that that's strategic for us and how God has us. Because I can go do some hair and make some money, but God is like, I'm not asking you to exchange your time for money. I'm taking you to a new level. So that's that. He can go, he does logistics. He can go do those things. But that's just like, God is like, no.
I don't know, because there wasn't no logistics doors opening either.
No. Right? So nothing was opening.
Yeah.
So I think that it is important to be real with yourself. Maybe a part-time is good. If that makes you more comfortable for you and your spouse. I think you just have to be in agreement. We were all in. I've done entrepreneurship. I don't want to particularly go and work for anybody. So I'm more comfortable with entrepreneurship. But my husband came into our relationship into our marriage with a job. So I'm like, ooh, I finally don't have to think about all of the other things. And we didn't plan for you to not have a job. Yeah. So him getting out of the Marine Corps and stuff like that changed the dynamics quickly.
And the trajectory quickly. With 2 babies
back to back.
Yeah.
But I think if part-time is the role for you, and what's the benchmarks, and be very clear with the benchmarks. This can't be an emotional decision. Oh, it's not making this amount of money, so I'm out. You have to be able to write real benchmarks that are going to make a decision of okay, now we can go a little bit more full-time, or who's going to take more responsibility. Be as detailed as you can. This is going to take strategic sitting down and writing out that vision super, super clear. That's my rules. We didn't do part-time.
No, we didn't. We went
all in. And when
all the businesses.
Yeah. Well, no, because we always had. So just to give you guys a little backstory, I was doing hair, right? And so that business, when Terrence and I got married, it was already making money. It was already it was doing well. He came in and made me assess and say, we need to make more money for a family of 4, not Angelica, the single person. Yeah, you were making great money, but now adding to our life, no. We needed to change. So we did some changes, which was really good. but he was starting other things on top of that.
Yeah.
So he had started a cleaning business. He had started a clothing line. So those things we were trying, but we still had a stable business.
Yeah.
So, and a stable business that was
stable
prosperous
and a stable income.
Yes. So that made a world of a difference. So there was no, but for the couples that are maybe like, I want to start something, I think part-time is really good. But I have to put this out there. You can't just say I'm doing part-time with part-time action.
Right.
You have to, even though it's part-time in the time you're allotted to it, when you are in that time, you're giving that business 110%.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. Okay. All right. Number 4, identify and manage role overlap between spouse and business partner.
This is a good one because we had to define that.
The hesitation may come from fear of relational strain, such as the entrepreneur treating their partner as an unpaid assistant.
I did that at one point.
Or pushing business conversations into personal time, which the last episode we kind of touched upon
that. So go watch that episode. We touch upon that. But I will say that at one point when I was more in the coaching space, I would say, oh, I need this done. I need this done. I need this done. I need this done. We got to do this. We got to do that. And that felt, I wasn't even realizing I was doing that. But you were like, chick, I am not your personal assistant. Like,
I'm not making not
a cent. You ain't paying me nothing.
Which your response would be like, well, if I make money and it comes in the household, it's everyone's.
Yeah. So that was even miscommunication as well. So definitely that was not good. I think that was one of my hesitations too, because when you did bring that up to me, I'm like, how are we going to do business together? Like, how are we going to define roles? Where we got clear at, he's like, you just for this season. At one season, Terrence was taking care of the babies and I was going to work.
Right.
So, and that was fine, right? That worked. It didn't last forever, but at one point that was our season. This season right now, I do very well with operating. I am actually enjoying I'm enjoying being a mom. I'm enjoying being a wife. I'm enjoying that I don't have to clock in or go find a job, or if the kids are sick, I can say I enjoy that. Them cooking and stuff like that, like that's fine. So we define, you focus more on this and I am going to do like all of the branding, the marketing. So we've defined where our strengths are. Financial, I do the finances. That doesn't take every single day. I have to show up here. So certain roles he takes more of, but we wanted a business that didn't require us with 1,001 tasks.
Right.
So that made a world of a difference.
It did.
Would you agree?
I would agree. 100%.
Yeah, we leaned it out, where before we was just trying to do every marketing strategy that was out there, trying to be everywhere but be nowhere. Listening to this person, that person, and you got to realize what stage of the business we were in. And I think that a lot of times you don't know what stage of your business you're in. So once we just realize, what are we building?
So yeah, you have to set boundaries.
Facts.
Set boundaries, scheduled business only times for updates, decisions, leaving the rest of the day for marriage and family. Facts. Those are straight facts.
And that's what you stand for. He was like, no, after this time, it's the kids. Even yesterday, we took the kids out and I bought my phone. Sometimes somebody has to bring their phone, but not both of us.
Emergency.
For me, I had to start taking apps off my phone because I don't want to even hint to go in there. And then I put them on my phone, like sometimes daily, like if I need to go use them. But goes back to what I said. If they're all scheduled, I'll go in there when I feel like it and I'll engage. But I understand the only platform that I actually really love is YouTube. And so we realized that, like when he came with the vision and wrote it out, he's like, this is where we need to be. We don't have to be everywhere. We don't have to do all this other stuff, but he leaned it out. And so we realized what type of business we are building now. And that makes a world of a difference. Yeah. It makes it easier. So I think you have to get very clear on defining who's going to do what and in what hours.
Right.
So family time is crucial, and you're good at it.
It's important.
You're better at it because I think for moms, we try to multitask, and you finally said, babe, you're not that good at multitasking. You're not good at it. You think you are. So just focus on the task at hand.
I don't think any of us are really good at multitasking. It's kind of difficult. Even in the military, as much time as I spent, we multitask, but really, if you really look down to it, you're
going to mess up something.
You're going to mess up something. Mm-hmm. Something is going to not be done.
Why did that become the thing?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think it became a thing so that they can get more production out of, workers. Mm-hmm. But that carries over into your entrepreneurship journey. Something I tell people who are working a 9-to-5 and then they come into entrepreneurship, there are certain disciplines that you literally have to say RIP to, because they are going to kill you. You can't have an employee mindset with an entrepreneurship mindset. It's two totally different things. Right. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yeah. You can have the structure of a business, but you can't have an employee mindset. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. And last but not least, the power of a faith-based approach to decision making.
So in the beginning, you got to pray about everything. He was like, what you praying about? Make a decision, girl.
It's like I ask a question or something pops up and it's like, I'm going to go pray about it. About it.
Then I realized I was churchanese.
I'm like, okay, all right. Well, if you got to say you got to pray about it, there's nothing wrong with prayer.
Yes.
I think certain things that come about, you should pray, and you should pray for and for the answer together with your spouse, which we're not perfect at doing. And I'm a strong believer, as although the man is the head, I feel like that if one person is stronger in an area, then that responsibility should show up in that person until
the other person
takes the mantle of that role.
I would agree. And I think I've accepted that. Right. I think that sometimes
how do you discern? Oh, well, go ahead. Finish your statement. Sorry.
I believe that people who are in the faith or believers over spiritualize entrepreneurship as a way of escape of not facing certain things, certain decision making,
certain hardships and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that became a easy response instead of thinking about, well, I don't have an answer. And we should pray. The Bible does tell us to pray about everything. There's nothing under the sun that you should not. It's a conversation. It's not like you got to have a 20,000 hour of prayer. You should pray about everything, and which I do, but understand that everything, if I prayed in the morning and it's a deep decision I have to make, some of the things that he was asking me were very basic. Just like super basic things that does not require a prayer. It requires a strategy and it requires a decision. Quick. Like that's it. So I definitely think that when you prioritize your faith in your business, it comes from planning with God. And when you know the principles of God, that's easy because it becomes a part of your natural rhythm and flow. Studying the word and all those different things, certain things will be more highlighted in certain seasons, but I think that we have over spiritualized entrepreneurship and in our faith. Okay. There are decisions that have to be made, and they should be made from a leadership standpoint, not from, let me pray about it. Let me pray about, should I fire this person? No, the person is not, whatever you have in your handbook or whatever the case may be, God gives you discernment. And if you're not going to use discernment and you're going to use the escape of saying, let me pray about it, a lot of people are not really praying about it.
But if you know the word and if you read the word, then you already know that God is in you when you're making a decision in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
and if you're making a flesh decision, he's not the author of confusion. So 9 times out of 10, you're just confusing yourself because you don't have a sound mind, or you're being a coward. Just being a coward, straight up down. Okay. Just being a coward. Yes. And I definitely did the coward thing because people pleasing is rooted in rejection. So sometimes you don't want to be rejected and you don't want to face that. It's a you problem. It's not them problem.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel how does fasting help?
You want to go there because you on your starvation diet? This man be like, you on your fast, you on your Sabbath. Why you can't eat this? Why you can't eat that? It's like he in heightens of feeding me when I'm fasting. I'm like, the devil is a liar.
That is not the truth. I do call it a starvation diet. And like you on your starvation diet right
yes,
now.
he hasn't joined me in fasting yet. He will. He just hasn't decided yet. I had started following a ministry, what was it, last year? Or no, 2023, I started following a ministry. And what I liked about this ministry is they started teaching not just the word of God, but why we are doing stuff, the why behind half of the stuff that we're doing. Mm-hmm. And then the why are we doing stuff that is tradition of man. It has nothing to do with the Bible. And it made me say, let me go study the Bible. Like one thing they used to say is go study for yourself. Do not listen to me. Mm-hmm. I am just a vessel. And if you want to rely on me, you are making me a God, and that's idolatry. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting somewhere. So stay with me, y'all.
I'm trying to stay with you. I'm trying to.
It started my relationship. Fasting is not the answer, but fasting is a tool. And if we look at Jesus fasted. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if we're going to mirror our lives after the Bible, why did he fast? He didn't need to fast. He's God himself. He was killing the flesh that he naturally has to get answers or to get direction. Mm. And so I didn't know that. I'm like, what are we going on fast for? So you start fasting everything else. You're like, I'm going to fast from TV. I'm going to fast from social media. You start giving other things but that's not a biblical fast. The biblical fast is killing your flesh, which is our body needs that food. And half of us is eating crap in the first place, which that's a whole nother topic.
Okay.
So I believe that fasting for us, like for me, why I fast is because it brought me more clarity to marry his vision. Mm. I couldn't see. I was so blind. I was so just so stuck. And then it's like God was giving me dreams and giving me visions and let me see little glimpses of move in this direction. It was bringing me more peace. It was bringing me more clarity. I mean, I'm a firm believer. Now, it's not easy. I do it every single month, the first 3 days of every single month, and it gets harder for me. I don't know why. I'm like, this should be easy, but it has gotten harder for me and I feel like when it's getting harder, it's because there's a dying of something. But I believe it is a great strategy that he's put in the book. And I'm like, if he can do it, I'm gonna do it. Now, he did it for 4 days. I don't know, Lord. I don't know if I can do that. Because the way I'm set up, them 3 days, I'd be struggling.
You do be struggling, especially when we're all eating.
But I have cooked. How many times have I cooked? I haven't tasted anything. Like I'll cook, I won't season it. I'm like, taste these collard greens.
She'll cook something, and I'm like, come taste this, babe. Come taste this.
I can smell it, or I'll season it. He's like, it tastes good, and you didn't. Because I'd be like, Lord,
sometimes I'd be rolling my eyes. I was like, just taste the food.
Yeah, but no, I'm committed to the process.
Oh, okay,
I'm committed to killing my flesh so that I can stay on this. It's just I think it's a part of your Christian lifestyle, and I think that we have watered it down. Okay. Yeah, so I believe that fasting has really helped in our business, and you might not see the ROI, but I know what it's doing for me.
Okay, well I would say that's all that matters.
Yeah. You gonna come over to the side? Let me tell y'all something, y'all.
I can't.
When we first got married, he said, "I've never given up my music, never." I said, "Oh, okay." Right? I didn't say nothing. I didn't say that you need to give me music. I just said this music. Like music is a gateway, and he comes from a musical background. So do I. My grandmother loves music and all this stuff. But he said he would never. I said, Lord, what he didn't know. I was like, Lord, you heard him. You heard he said never. One day randomly, I never brought it up again, but he wouldn't play certain music around me because I didn't want to hear all of that or whatever the case may be. Sure enough, one day he was like, oh, it's bothering me. Right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, tell it.
Well, tell what? It all the, especially in the new music today. It's
you can't take it.
It's talking about drugs and cursing every word, every other word. It's just like, Jesus Christ.
Or the context of it, context wouldn't bother him. Now context bothers him. Now you just want to listen to jazz. You don't even want to listen to nobody sing.
Pretty much.
I'll never give up my music.
I'm listening to lo-fi jazz, lo-fi instrumentals, Afro beats, Afro Caribbean beats. Mm-hmm. That's probably because our kids do be talking so much. The only time I listen to real music, like hip hop music, and then it's still the old hip hop music, like 2000s, early 2000s, or the 90s, is when I'm in the gym.
Yeah, and I don't listen to any of it.
No,
he's like, you got all this worship on here. You got this and that. It's just, that's my conviction. That might not be y'all's. But I remember him saying that, and let's let God do what he got to do. But I do believe that your faith is the foundation of running anything, running your life, running your marriage, running your business. It doesn't matter what, just don't leave him out of any area and you'll prosper.
Now, do you think that is it difficult when one spouse is fasting and the other spouse is not? Do you find that difficult?
No, I think my mindset, I shouldn't say my perception, my mindset has been, I'm not doing this to please you. I'm not doing it to even please myself. I'm doing it to honor God. Like, I want results in my life and I want to be with clarity. I don't want to I've seen too many Christians live not the best life. And that's when I'm reading the Bible, I'm like, none of these things we should be even dealing with, like as children of God, studying. I'm like, that's not our life. That's not the life you promised us. I want the life you promised us. So I don't find it hard because I'm not doing it for you. I'm not doing it. I don't even, if you want to join. If you don't, I make little jokes here and there, but my stance. You don't try to waver me from it. You respect the road that I'm on with my relationship with God. And I respect the relationship because it's personal. But my prayer points, I watch God do some stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's working. And just my dad don't play about me, just like he don't play about you. So I'm just like, okay, God, when the time is right, just like you were patient with me coming on this podcast, I'm gonna be patient with the fasting, and the praying and all that other stuff.
Well, sometimes fasting might not work for certain people and their blood types and their health.
He the greatest physician. That's all I got to say.
Okay, I'm just saying.
The greatest physician.
Some people might not be able to handle fasting because of their
But you could fast for 4 hours. You could do 3 hours, whatever it is. It's that time that you're giving up. It's nobody says do it 24 hours, 60 hours, whatever it is. So if it's like, I'm going to turn down my plate.
But I used to fast.
All the time.
12 to 14 hours a day. But then realized going to the doctor, that doesn't work for my health.
I think that, but also we weren't eating as, like, carbohydrates don't agree with you. We going off topic, y'all.
Yeah.
But certain things don't fit in I think that diet in general, like what type of foods we're going into your body, all of that plays a part. So if you're fasting and then as soon as you get off your fast and I put carbohydrates in your body because I made something
it has nothing to do with carbohydrates either. Because when we were eating, at the old house, when we were fasting, my lunch would be
the same
thing, eggs, salad, and toast.
I don't know, y'all, but fasting works for me. And prayer works.
I didn't say prayer doesn't work.
I know you didn't say it.
I didn't say none of it.
Okay. But you were asking, as far as it goes into your business, wherever you are in your life, definitely.
And then if the other spouse, again, I like how she put it, my relationship with God is my relationship with God, and her relationship with God is her relationship with God. But there has to be some place where y'all do have something spiritually, a spiritual foundation together.
Yeah.
To be able to make a business work, and to be able to stay committed together in that business to where it doesn't interrupt your marriage.
Facts. 100%. I 100% agree with you. I never tried to make you, I guess, have a different relationship with God because I know it's intimate, and I know that I don't want to play God in your life either. And I don't want to force you to live a certain way, but because you respected everything about my relationship with God, and I had to learn to respect your relationship with God, and He created you.
I pray.
I know.
I prayed about this.
I know.
So
I know. So He answers prayers, and I know that because we're doing something that unifies Him, and we're going to give Him his glory, and we're not trying to up here and steal it or do anything that is contrary to what He's spoken over our lives. I know that it'll be blessed. So that in itself made it super easy to just say, okay, your walk is your walk, my walk is my walk, but our walk as a family has to be the foundation, which is why we are very intentional with the kids and what we like. One day he was like, here, read a book, and he gave nobody's watching TV. Here, read a book. And he gave Genesis the Bible. And I was like, okay, go to Proverbs. even though Genesis may not be understanding, I still believe that the scripture is very real. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I'm going to start giving him language to what he's going through. So that's very important. So yeah, I think faith is very important.
All right. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode.
This conversation.
We kind of went a little off topic here and there, but again, unscripted.
Yes.
The way I wanted it.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I think it's fun.
It's fun
for us to engage in a way of just having in-depth conversations that might pivot in different areas, but it's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. We are trying to grow. And if you have any questions, our email is below. You're welcome to do that. Drop what your big takeaway is from this conversation. And we will look forward to seeing you on the next one.
All right.
Bye.
Peace. It's taking forever.